Hello, guys. You are tuned into another episode on the Woman Who Wore series. Let me fix my hair here. How are you? How are you doing? You know, a big reason why I started the Woman Who Wore series was really to remind people of the joy and the laughter and the positivity that exists in humanity, and really put women who are culture shifters, culture icons, in bird's viewed eye for you. And today is no different. I will be speaking with Alechia Reese, who is a straight up badass, and I see she's in here, so I'll let her do more of her intro. But I love Alechia, and you guys are going to love her energy. So make sure to grab your pen, grab your pad, because there are going to be mega gems drops on this live. So I hope you guys are getting ready. Hey, everybody, for tuning in. Let me welcome her in so we can get started, because we like to start things on time. Hi, everybody. Just waiting for Alechia to come in, and then we will get started. Hey, beautiful.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, it feels so good to see you, darling.
It's good to see you too. It's been so long. I've been crazy ghost.
I know. I think we all have been to some extent, depending on what time of day you are trying to reach us or see us. But how are you doing? I want to start there.
Um, I am pushing through because there's no other choice. Like you don't have a choice. You don't get to curl up in a ball. So I'm pushing through, working
Yeah,
on my spirit.
yes, which is most important. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Alechia has not been on social media like so many of us. This is her return, and she's making her return with the Woman Who Wore series. So this is an exclusive, y'all. So y'all better
Listen,
take note, okay?
only because of you. I had planned to be off another 60 days. This is only because of you, because
Well,
I love
thank you.
you.
Thank you, Mama. The feeling is also mutual. So why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
Absolutely. So, hey y'all. I'm Alechia Reese. I am truly equal parts warm tea and Hennessy, depending on the question or what I feel is needed at the time. That depends on, what you'll get, whether you'll get the warm tea or you'll get the Hennessy. Either way, it'll always be in and out of love. I am a master strategist. I dream, I sleep, I eat strategy. My company is 7 years old this year, actually, so we're finally getting into first grade, second grade. But we're 7 years old. I started it during a personal crisis, actually. I was getting a divorce. My ex-husband was pretty abusive, and he gave me an ultimatum. He said, either you'll stay with me and I'll keep paying the mortgage, or you will decide that you're going to leave and you'll have to figure it out on your own. I'm one of those, please don't dare me, because if you dare me, I'm gonna have to show you what it is.
Right.
So I felt like it was a dare, so I took him up on that dare, and I said, yeah, I think I'm gonna be out. I'm gonna head out now. That was in May of 2013. September 2013, I had incorporated my first business. Well, actually, my second business, but my first for-profit business. And out the gate, our first client was Grey Goose, executing an event for them with Art Basel that had Will Smith and Kanye West come through. The strategy that we created for them allowed us to get over, 1 million impressions in a matter of 2-3 days. So yeah, that's how I started. And now I build strategy. I own 3 or 4 companies at this point. But I build strategy, and I work with executives, showing them how to leverage their personal value to achieve professional growth. So that's me.
So she's badass. In case you didn't get that memo, now you got it. But you said a couple of things that I want to dig a little deeper on. And first, how you started this conversation, where you said, you can't just go hide in a corner somewhere and cuddle up. You have to come back. And as a serial business owner, talk to us about that. Talk to us about, how do you not go into the corner? How do you show up when all you want to do physically, mentally, emotionally is go into the corner?
That honestly is per person, but for me, and what works for me is I give myself time to grieve or to mourn or to deal with whatever my emotions are. If it's not that deep, I'll say, okay, all right, sis. And yes, I call myself sis. You got a good hour, okay? A good hour, you can feel all these feelings, all these emotions, and then you got to, boss up. And if you want to cry while you're bossing up, totally fine. We allow tears around these parts. But for me, this time, it was a lot different because there was the pandemic going on. I manage a team of 20 across my businesses. So that's 20 different people needing 20 different things and energies, and it's not at all their fault. They're dealing with their own stuff too. I'm also a single mom. I'm the primary, everything when it comes to money and time and energy and effort and all the things. So there are literally, and clients. I haven't even put
Right. You
clients. So
haven't
you
even
have,
spoken about the clients yet.
listen, so
Right.
you have all these things that are pulling on me. And so I said, okay, something's got to give because the success doesn't mean very much if I'm crazy. And I know that's not the PC way to say it, but for me, because again, I can be very raw, I'm not willing to be crazy just to say, oh yeah, look at me, I'm successful. So the first step for me was, let me take a step back and let me identify, where can I remove myself from and allow the members on my team to fill in the gap for me. I'm one of those, oh no, I can do it. Oh no, I can do it. Oh no, I can do it type of folks. I have decided that I'm going to graduate from that, class of 2020. I'm officially a delegator. Okay. I'm a professional
Okay.
delegator now.
Congratulations. I know
Thank you
that is a
so
big deal.
much. Listen, I had a little graduation for myself in the shower, like, oh yes, sis, you graduating. Um, but yeah, so I had to first delegate and remove myself from all the things that I did not have to do, that did not require me to do. And then I took a week break of just let me level set. Let me cry my tears. Let me deal with all my emotions around a pandemic and being somebody's teacher, mother, I mean, maid, all of the things, and also all the other hats that I have to
Right.
hold. Look, I honestly, I cried, sometimes outwardly, sometimes inwardly, because I just felt broken. And then watching George Floyd get, choked on camera, like in such a visceral way, when there were people standing there and did nothing, kind of like mocked it. That for me was a bit much. So I stepped away for a week. But after I stepped away, I said, all right, now sis, once you come back, you have to actually, like, all right, now we got to make some movement. So when I came back, and it wasn't to come back to social media, but to come back to myself, because for me, you have to feel at home within yourself. And I didn't feel like home. I felt in my own space, mental, everything, that I wasn't at home. So once I came back after that week break that I said I was going to take, for me, it was straight strategy. Okay, now that I've graduated, I know how to now delegate. What does it look like? What is my plan to continue to effectuate change? What does all of that look like? And so that's, for me, that's my thing. Take a break, breathe. No longer, for me, for most things, no longer than a week, max 2 weeks. And then you come back and you strategize, identify, what are the goals? What am I trying to achieve? What does it look like? And then start to create strategy around that so that you can actually work towards it. Because it's real hard to get to a destination that you haven't yet identified. You can be driving a 2022 Bentley or have that out in your carport full of gas and everything else. But if you never put a destination in your GPS, you'll never get there.
Yeah. So this is not the first time that you have experienced trauma. Uh, of course, with George Floyd, it was trauma that was afar, but near and dear to all of our hearts. But you also have experienced trauma and you alluded to this earlier with your ex-husband and experiencing domestic violence
Mm-hmm.
and having to thrive out of that situation and what came about. So the way that you are managing the pandemic, managing the civil rights movement that is happening right now, is that similar to how you managed the domestic violence situation? Are there best practices you pulled out for that? How has that experience been, the same or not the same for you?
So it's been a little of both. When I was married to my ex-husband, it was abuse directly to me. Like I could feel it, I could touch it, I could
Right.
see it. My ex was a pretty awesome person. Um, in that I lost my first kid, 17 weeks pregnant, slammed me into the ground while pregnant. I lost that kid a couple days afterwards. Followed me with a gun. Like, he was a psychology major. I wasn't. So he would play like little mind games to gaslight me. And then like, it was just not good. It was just all bad, always around. Um, so with that, there is a Beyonce song actually. Two of them. One of them is, do you know who the fuck I is? You ain't married to an average bitch boy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I would take that line alone and say it to myself to rebuild my self-esteem, along with my personal 7 affirmations that I came up with at the time. And I would say them to myself every single day, because you can't control what happens around you, but you can absolutely control what happens in you. And your mind is the most powerful tool you have. And so for me, it was constantly telling myself what I am and who I am, regardless of what it is that I saw at the time. Period, point blank. It doesn't matter that all you see right now is a house that's about to go into foreclosure, not being able to pay your car note. It doesn't matter that, you're borrowing money from your friends to feed yourself and to take care of your kid and to keep her, because she was in private school, and to keep her in her private school. None of that shit matters. What matters is the vision that I had in my head. Kanye, because I love music, so I relate everything to music.
Mm-hmm.
But Kanye, the line in his song, the old Kanye, not this new one. No offense to this new one. Everybody gets to grow in their own way. But the
Right.
old Kanye, college dropout Kanye, um, there's a line in one of his songs is, before I had it, I used to close my eyes and imagine. And in my mind, I would tell myself, yes, it looks this way right now, but you truly are the author of your story. You get to fucking decide what it looks like, what it will be. And no, you can't control the shit that happens around you, but what you can control is all of the energies that you bring to the table, which is why I say I am an energy person. So if things are going crazy, I can't be there, because I'm gonna feel too much of it and then I can't function. So for me, it was holding on to what my vision was, so that every single time there was a setback or something didn't work or something wasn't going the way I needed it to go, I would go back to the vision that I had in my mind. And as things continued to progress, I don't remember who it was. And then, of course, later Beyonce made a song about it, where she, the best revenge is to boss up. And so, legit, that's exactly what I said. You know what? You don't have to give me real child support. I got it. You
Mm.
don't have to help me for real, coming around and do what you know you're supposed to do. She'll be fine. You don't have to, whether you do, don't, will, won't. I'm going to thrive. I'm not just going to survive. And I'm going to show myself, because at this point, it's not about anybody else, but I'm going to show myself that what's in me is more than enough, no matter what the outside circumstance or situation looks like. So in this time where we're going through a televised, they say the revolution won't be televised. That is completely inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
um, for this televised, civil revolution, and the pandemic that is a very real thing still, even though things are opening back up. In my mind, I see, what is that vision? If you can hold on to that, there's nothing that will be denied from you or whomever, as long as you got to stay in the game. And what happens is so many people take themselves out of the game. You can't control when you're born. You can't control when you die, but you can control whether or not you stay in the game. Stay the
Mm.
fuck in the game. Stay
Mm.
in the game.
Mm. So let's stay on that for a minute, because you wrote a book,
Yeah.
and in this book talks a lot about your story.
Mm-hmm.
which led you to write another book, The
Yeah.
Relationship Game. So talk to us about
Yeah.
those books and the significance of the relationship piece.
Absolutely. So the first book was called Eating Elephants. So again, that whole master strategist, that's a very real thing. And the reason I say I'm a master strategist is because I grew up real impoverished, like no running water in my house for a year, no electricity for 6 months. Like we grew up real rough. If you've ever seen hoarders buried alive, that's how I grew up. The scar on my leg is from living in a house with a hoarder. I love my mother, but she is certifiable. Um, and she's a whole hoarder. And I say it to her face, so I'm not talking behind her back. She gets Hennessy most of the time. um, but so growing up in a situation like that, when I was 8, her baby died, and so she lost her mind. Like checked completely out, wasn't able to take care of my siblings and I. I'm the oldest, so that meant I had to figure things out real quick. And what that meant is so 8 years old, I stopped playing with Barbie dolls. Like a Barbie, I didn't have. I'm trying to think about, okay, we're hungry. We don't have clean clothes. We don't always have water. What does it look like for us to still be able to maintain and to live? And so that meant by the time I was 12, I had my first company. I was braiding hair and I bartered cleaning services, not cleaning services, excuse me. My mother did that for us to go to private school, but I bartered my services. I told the girl, she was in my church, I was like, hey, if you show me how to braid hair, I'll help you with your clients because it took her a long time, so she wasn't able to make as much money. You give me some of the money, I'll help you. A barter system, strategy, 8 to 12, it was cultivating. Like I was figuring it out. And so I took that and then just kept going, kept going, kept going. And so when I got into corporate America, I did the same thing. I was like, okay, Mr. CMO, or what was he, COO, Chief Operating Officer. I was like, how about this? I'll give you 3 years of my time if you train me as a project manager and then you certify me as a scrum master. I knew I could command an easy 90K a year, and living in Florida, 90K, you lit.
Right, right.
Living in New York, you on the struggle bus.
Right.
But in Florida, you lit. And this was some years ago. So I knew I could command that amount and having that certification. So I did that with him. He said yes. He brought in one of the best to train me. And that's where eating elephants came from. It was a phrase that my principal back from when I was in high school used to say, the best way to eat an elephant is a piece at a time. It's looking at the entire pie, looking at your big goals, and then breaking them down into small bite-sized goals so that you're doing and accomplishing a little bit at a time. Because it allows you to celebrate the little bit that you're getting done. It's real hard to be like, okay, I'm gonna celebrate after 4 years or 7 years.
Right.
Who's gonna be willing to stick through that? Not I said, cat team, no patience.
Right.
But if you break it down into little bite-sized amounts, you're able to celebrate each time. And so from eating elephants and showing people how to, I don't care what you do in life, everybody has an elephant they have to eat. That book helps show you how to do it. But then now the second book, which was The Relationship Game, that one, man, my entire company, and it's funny because we just this year started to do outbound sales and marketing, and we really haven't even activated it fully yet. But my entire company from our inception was built off of relationships. That is relationships. My first client out the gate, like I said, was with Grey Goose. We've worked with everyone from CNN, Soledad O'Brien. We've worked with Disney stars Zendaya Coleman, Verizon, UPS, Vogue Italia. All of those opportunities came simply because I had built relationships with folks.
Mm-hmm.
It was, you don't have to pay me for everything that I do, but you're going to be so excited to pay me because I always give more than I'll ever take. For me, it's all about how am I serving? How can I make sure that once you're done interacting with me, you are so freaking excited about the value that I've provided and that I've given to you that you like, well, sis, can I pay you for something else? Is it okay if we continue this thing? So to me, the relationship game, you have to understand that's all life is. Life is a relationship game. And if you're going to win at it, you got to learn how to play the game. And it's not a deceitful or a nasty. Playing the game is understand, leading with your value. I don't BS anybody. This is what I do. This is what I don't do. You know, if you're looking for this and I don't do it, here's somebody who does. Right. Lead with what you are really, really good at. If you can hone in on what you're best at, and if you don't know, sit down without a TV, without a man, without a girl, without anybody there, and figure that out for you. If you lead with your value, then you'll always find places to serve. And those places and pieces that you serve will always find a way to give back to you, because that's just how the universe works. What you give, it throws back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So on the topic of relationships, because I think right now with COVID, they were like, holy crap. And now with this in my eyes, beautiful civil rights movement that is going on right now, truly going to change the world. At least I'm going to make sure we do what we need to do to make that happen. You know, people are even more confused around how they should be approaching business, about how they should be approaching new people that they may want to do business or build a relationship with. So, you know, given your expertise in that space, how can people build relationships during a time of crisis, during a time of uprising? How do people build relationships during this time?
Love this question. And funny enough, I'm actually doing a second edition to the relationship game to speak specifically to what is happening now, because it's also, how do you build relationships when people want you to stay away? Like, please don't come close.
Yeah. Right.
Like, what does, I mean, no disrespect, but stay over there. Right. Love you, mean it, from over there. Right. So during this time, again, you have to read the room. And although my sister has been keeping me abreast on all of the craziness, so many people don't understand how to read the room. There are certain things and some things that right now is just not the time to say. Right. Whatever initiative you had that you had planned to do, if it's not in line with the current vein, you look like a fish out of water. So the first thing is read the room, and then take clear inventory of how your skill set can seek to solve the problems of those who you want to partner and collaborate with. Because there are a whole host of issues and problems that folks are having. That's whether you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific Islander, whatever your creed. After you've read the room, take inventory of what you do really, really well and how what you do can help to serve them and also serve you. Serve you in financial, advancement, acceleration, whatever, but serve them in providing a solution to their problem. And if you're confused about what their problem is, ask. Ask. Open your mouth and ask. It's as simple as a LinkedIn message or even a regular email that says, hey, thinking of you during this time. I know it's been tough. Tough for you, tough for me, tough for so many around the globe. I simply wanted to connect to find out how I can serve you during this time. What is it that you're most in need of? Would love to see how me or my company or my brand can provide you or your organization with what you need. Ask.
Yeah, I got a template right here. This is like literally an email template you can shoot out, a message you can shoot out on LinkedIn. So yeah, template. So, okay, so I'm hearing read the room. I'm hearing assess your skill set, know what you have to bring to the table. I'm hearing if you don't know, ask. But let's go a little bit deeper than that because, there is heightened sensitivity right now. So as you're reading the room or, the internets, right? Because we're not in rooms technically right now.
Not technically.
How do people approach this? How do they approach new relationships? And I think I'm speaking more towards, regardless if you're white, if you're Spanish, if you're Asian, I think a lot of people are feeling like they don't know what to say, but they want to say something. They know they need to talk to you because it's business related or because they want to do business with you, but they don't know how to open the conversation, right?
Yeah,
so what do you recommend as the opener?
So for me, again, that whole strategy part, especially now because so many people are vocal, um, go onto their LinkedIn and onto their socials, go onto those and see what it is they're talking about. What conversations are they having? What, virtual Zoom, panels or meetings that they're on. Take a look at what that looks like and the conversations they're having, and then speak to it. Say, hey, I saw you posted about this, this, that, and the third the other day. Thank you so much for your incredible insight, and then go into what it is you need to talk about. I would love to schedule some time on your calendar to discuss ways in which I can partner with you and your organization to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C.
Mm.
Super simple, but it does take, again, reading the room. Like, that's start there. Like, don't just be emailing folk like, oh yeah, let me talk to you. I need to do business with you. Yes, absolutely. There is business, still being done during this time. But you also have to be sure, again, that relationship piece. If you don't have a high level of emotional intelligence, read you some books. Audible is giving discounts. If you don't like to read, you can listen to you some books, but start to sharpen your emotional intelligence right now, because you're going to need it. You are absolutely going to need all the tools when it comes to emotional intelligence. So sharpen that toolkit if you're not quite there yet. If you're already there, then leverage and use that emotional intelligence to connect you with folks, to have very real conversations. No matter what ethnicity, color, or creed you are, allow people to actually express how they're feeling, not just that typical, oh, how are you good? Oh, I'm great, highly favored, loved by the Lord bullshit. No, I'm not okay. I'm figuring it out. I'm working through it. How's your spirit? Turn around and ask them the same thing. If you forget everything else I said, remember to be a human and wrap your desire to work with them into service, and you'll find that it's not as difficult to close deals as you think, because you've read the room, you've assessed your skill set and how your skill set can potentially solve their problems, and then you've made an ask. If you do those three, then what will happen is you'll be able to position whatever your offering is to exactly what it is that they need, so that you're solving their problem. People pay for solutions. People still buying tissue. I don't care what type of pandemic or whatever else. The solution, because you need some tissue, you're gonna go find you some tissue. It's people pay for solutions. Be a solution. World
Mm.
full of liabilities, you figure out how to be an asset. And
Mm.
being an asset means you are being the solution to someone's problem. Your product, service, or whatever is a solution to their problem.
So do you think that for new people that you haven't met that you're doing a cold reach out to, right? Do
Mm-hmm.
you think that it needs to be addressed at the top? Let's say it's an email. Do you need to, and let's say this person is Black. Do you need to open up and say, I hope you are well, I hope your spirits are high, and then go right into their thing? Or can they just,
So I'm
pleasure
a
to
firm
connect,
believer.
this is what I
Mhm.
want to do?
I'm a firm believer in humanity first. Even for my team, I tell them all the time. People speak a lot about work life integration, work life balance. That's cool, but I believe in work life boundaries. Very, very real boundaries, especially during this time. So I don't hit them up after 7 unless they hit me. I will refuse to respond to them over the weekend. If they email me, unless it's like a, yo, I need to answer right now, I'll schedule my email to hit their inbox Monday morning at like 8 a.m. because you could schedule them out. For me, it's always people first. I don't give a shit about what you want. You have to think of the other human first. You have to. It's not just about you and what you want. And if you move in that type of energy, you'll find people not wanting to be around or with you or give to you or be connected to you, because there's a selfishness in there. And yes, you absolutely should think of you first. You are your MVP. You are your number one. I believe in that. I teach my daughter that. But in a time where people are so on edge, you need to give them the space and allow them to see that you recognize. And again, I don't give a crap about what ethnicity you are, but recognize the elephant in the room. We're not ignoring it for what? Clearly, nothing's being ignored at this point. We're filming it all, we're posting it all, nothing's being ignored. So don't ignore that. If you know it's a person of color, especially if it's a Black man, hey, I truly hope you are doing well. I am praying for your strength in a time where you may not feel as valued. And then go into your spiel. That's one sentence. If you can't muster up one sentence to think about somebody else's feelings, then we got more work to do. This is where you got to go start reading those emotional intelligence books. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Like we got some work to do. We got back to the drawing board.
Or read The Relationship Game.
Listen, or read The Relationship Game. It really is about people. It is about people. People come first. If you treat people right, I promise you, they go so much harder for you. So much harder if you treat people right. Think about people first. You gonna close the deal, but think about the person first. Because all the big brands and things that I named that we work with, I promise I didn't work with the building. I worked with the person. The person signed the check. The person said yes. People first. And that's for me, period, always. People first.
So what did you do to remind yourself of this very, very important point, especially when you were, building your business, and especially now where people are just anxious and they're trying to figure out how to make money and they're trying to just get some type of stability, some type of structure, and they're just trying to make something happen out of nothing. So what can you do to remind yourself of that people first when you're very much like survivor mode?
Gotta get it. Yeah. You know what? It's funny enough. Gotta get it. Yeah. It's funny because I always, and I'm gonna make sure I preface this right so my words aren't taken out of context. When I look at very large, very established brands who fail and who make, colossal mistakes. Samsung had a whole phone that was banned on like all the airplanes. They are a huge brand that brings in, buku millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Neiman Marcus, not Neiman Marcus, is it Neiman Marcus? Yeah, it is Neiman Marcus. Neiman Marcus filing for whole bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. You have these big behind brands who you think have at least a year's worth of savings. They were scrambling. Sis, you fine. Bro, you'll be all right. You have these big old brands who are going through the same type of thing that you are going through. Theirs is on a different level, yes, but it's the same type of thing that you are going through. So you have got to stabilize yourself because, again, energy is everything. Hello. Energy is everything. When I was homeless, when I moved to New York, we became homeless the day I got to New York. Disrespectful. New York came out the gate trying to knock me off my toes. Our place fell through 48 hours before we were supposed to hit the city. It was me, my sister, who's my business partner, and my daughter. She was, I think, 5 at the time. Yeah, she was 5, so she was going into kindergarten. And the place that we were moving into fell through 48 hours before. I could not press rewind because I had sold the house in Florida. I could not press pause because the truck, the huge moving truck, was already in New York waiting for me to tell them which address to drop our stuff off at. And I'm in my SUV in Virginia, standing on the balcony of one of my clients' homes, like, oh shoot, I done brought these people out here into the middle of the ocean. And God, you don't plan on separating this Red Sea. In my country voice, what is I going to do?
Right.
What? WTF? And so for me, during that time, and mind you, we were without a home of our own for a month and a half. During that month and a half, I still had to meet with clients. I still had to be on the front row of New York Fashion Week, knowing I was going home to sleep on a mattress with my daughter sandwiched in between me and my sister. I still had to show up and still put in the work and still be willing to be steadfast in my vision. Again, that's where that defiance comes in. My mama said I've been defiant my whole life. And I was like, well, sis, it seemed to have worked out. So you should be grateful that you had a defiant child.
Hello.
Should be grateful. I told you, my mother usually gets the Hennessy part of me. She rarely ever gets the warm tea. She usually gets that Hennessy. Um, but no, there has to be a steadfastness in you that no matter what, all you see is your vision. All you see is your goal. This is what and it has to be something that's in your head, because again, shit will happen around you. You cannot control that. You can't. There's no controlling that. But what you can control is your mind. But most people don't invest into the wellness of their mind. Make some very real investments. And I'm not even necessarily talking about money right now, but there are lots of free services that you can get to invest in your mental health. So take advantage of those. I have a therapist. I'm a firm believer in them. But it's studying yourself and becoming like defiant is, I don't know what. It's, this is what I see. This is what it will be. This is who I am. Create Pinterest boards of what it'll look like. For me, it was, I want to grow my companies so that I can employ those who desire to be employed, and I can empower them to be able to do the things that they want to do. So during a time where, yes, everything is crazy, I cannot and will not deny that. You have to steady yourself and steady your vision to understand that life is not linear. It is not I live, I work, I breathe, I play a little bit, and then I die. That's just not how it works. And if you are cemented in that thought process, condolences now, because it's going to be a rough time for you.
Right.
But if you understand that life goes like this, there's some pretty high highs, then there can be some deafening lows, and understand that even in the deafening of those lows, that you will not only come out of it, but if you can steady your mind in such a way that when you come out of it, you are ahead, then you understand that this is just the process. It literally is just the process. In order to make a cake, you have to beat the egg. You can't keep a whole egg and make a cake. You have to decide that you will give up one thing in order to become the other. Freedom ain't free. Revolutions don't just happen because you want them to, or because you sit around and play patty cake like, oh yeah, they're going to give me what I asked for. That's not how it freaking works. Sometimes you have to take things by force. And no, I'm not trying to be Malcolm X, because, you know, I do believe in nonviolence. However, you have to be so steadfast in, this is what I see, this is what it will be. And then shoot, create you some alternative ways. I have a very free 99 resource that you can get. It's right in my bio on what's this? Instagram. See, I've been off so long, I forgot what platform we on. It's in my bio, in my Instagram, 5 ways to make money online now. It's not mystical. You don't have to think too hard. It just takes putting forth an effort. What can you do? You can create an ebook right now and sell it for $5 and have 30 of your associates and your friends to share it. Make sure the ebook makes sense. Again, lead with your value. People pay for solutions, but there are ways and things that you can do to bring in money. If you braid hair, you can't do that right now, but what you can do is do tutorials and have people subscribe by paying a fee to be a part of your Facebook group,
Right.
where you do daily tutorials to teach people how to do and braid their own hair. Same thing if you're an esthetician. People can't, go and sit in at the spa like they want to. Create and curate a list of some of the top brands that they can purchase right on Amazon. And then you have the list for them. And then when they become a member of whatever it is, and you can have them either cash up you, although, Lord, that's a bit much. You can create a quick free 99, a free landing page on MailChimp that allows the folks to pay right there using a PayPal link. And you give them the list of products that they can buy with links from Amazon and a link to join you for your weekly self-care facials. There are ways. But if you're so frantic and you're, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you're going to miss all the ways because you're too frantic. You're like, well, that works. What about if I'm an artist? That too. People need some relief right now. So what you do is you get 5 of your best singing friends together. Y'all do free mini 60-second round robin concerts on IG where each y'all pass the baton to the other. And at the end of each person, you give them a code. They go to a free MailChimp landing page. And if you don't have the money if you don't know how to do it, Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. You can have somebody on there create you a landing page on MailChimp. It'll cost you probably like $25. And y'all do the 60 seconds as the preview for the full concert that y'all will do, where each of y'all will have the Zoom stage for 15 to 20 minutes where people get to come and rest in the musical, the musical solace that you're going to provide them. I don't give a darn what you say. Where there is a will, there is a way. Figure that shit out. Sit down long enough. Stop with the frantic, because if you're frantic, you can't, which is why I said I had to step back and take a break from social media, because the energy was like this. Mm-hmm. Nobody can think if things are like this. And if they can, I can't. They might be able to live their best life. I can't. Right. And so you have to do what's best for you. But there is always a way. Sit down and figure it out.
So this is a good segue to the question that I ask all of my guests. And it is, why are you a woman who roars?
Because I'm resilient like a motherfucker. I mean, and I'm sorry, I know that we probably definitely can't reposition this one, because I've cursed so many times.
No.
Normally I'm real PG-13. Okay, good. Hallelujah. But because I'm resilient. Like, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. I've actually been punched in the face, and took it like a G, got back up and was like, okay, you hit like, actually girls hit kind of hard. So, you hit like a kid. I'm resilient. I roar because I don't care what has been, what hadn't been, what I thought was going to come through, what I hoped would come through. In my mind, what I want is what I'll have, because it's not steeped in just serving myself. It is steeped in also being of service and in service of others. And I'm willing to go out and get it. I may take breaks, but I don't believe in stopping. I'll stop when God be like, all right, sis, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Come on, let's go rest. Then I'll stop. But until then, roaring like a motherfucker.
That's right, baby. Thank you so much for being on the series. I hope everyone sees why she's a badass and why I wanted her on the series. Make sure to tune into the replay and share it with your friend and your friend and your friend, and then your mama too. Alechia, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I can't wait.
I'm so proud of you. Like, yes, I'm proud of you. Killing it. Okay.
Thank you. But I love you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.